Good morning, everyone. Happy Hanukkah. We are in Mishna Ma'aser Sheni, Parak Beis, Mishna Test, Chapter 2, Mishna 9. So the previous Mishnah had been discussing about if a person wants to transfer his copper coins to silver, how may he do it? But there's no question that there's going to be silver coins people are going to be bringing to Yerushalayim. And as we said, those silver coins, people want to break them down into prutas, into copper coins, because smaller purchases like food purchases, would be done with those copper coins, those smaller coins. The silver coins are too big. So a person has a sela, which is a silver coin of Ma'aser Sheni. He transferred Ma'aser Sheni sanctity onto this coin. And now he's in Yerushalayim, and he wants to break it down into copper coins. Now, in order for us to be able to better understand or better follow along with this Mishnah, we just need to repeat something we mentioned yesterday, and that is to understand the different denominations of coins that we'll be dealing with. So we should just bear in mind that one sela, which is a silver coin, equals 2 silver shekels, which equals 4 silver dinars. That's important for our Mishnah to know. Okay, so you have this sela of silver, you want to break it into copper coins. Bei Shammai Oimrim. The Academy of Shammai said, Kol sela mois. You can turn the entire sela into copper coins. Ubei Hillel Oimrim, Bei Hillel say, shekel kesef v'shekel mois. As we said, there are 2 shekel to a sela. According to Bei Hillel, half of the sela has to remain in silver coins. The other half, the other shekel's worth, can be turned into copper coins. Now, the reason why Beis Hillel say to do this is because of the fact that Beis Hillel was concerned that if you have them all in copper coins, you may land up not using up all those copper coins on food during the yontif that you're there. So what are you going to do? You want to hold on to them until you're back to Yerushalayim for the next yontif, where you'll spend the rest of it on food in Yerushalayim. The problem is that copper coins eroded and therefore became less valuable. So if you go ahead and you leave copper coins around, it's going to be a loss to Ma'aser Sheni because they can erode. And if they start losing their copper content, then they get they're worth less. That's a loss to Ma'aser Sheni. So Beis Hillel doesn't say not to change it at all into copper, but to minimize how much copper you exchange it into so that you'll end up using up all those copper coins, not leaving them around, which creates the problem that they may, I don't know if the word is erode, or I think the correct word is corrode. Sorry about that. The copper coins corrode over time, and therefore we want to minimize the amount of copper coins that you're going to have. Now, you may ask, well, why not just take the copper coins, exchange them back into silver coins, which from silver to copper, which you're allowed to do in Yerushalayim in order to buy food. Now, in order to make sure that that we don't have to face this corrosion problem, let's go ahead and take the copper coins, exchange them back into silver coins. Silver doesn't corrode. So why not do that? So the commentary of the Baratuner explains the problem is that when you exchange money, it costs. You go to the money changer and you change your silver coins for copper coins, he takes a certain amount as for his services. Well, if you now go ahead and and that automatically means a certain loss to the money of Ma'aser Sheni. It's automatic, but it's the way it is. Now, if you go ahead and take the copper coins and turn them back into silver coins, again, he's going to charge you. That's another loss. That's an extra loss to Ma'aser Sheni. That's not necessary, according to Beis Hillel. Let's not get involved in that whole problem to begin with, so we don't have to cause another loss to Ma'aser Sheni. Therefore, Beis Hillel say that half of the sela, which is a shekel's worth, you can turn that into copper coins. The other half have to be silver coins, smaller silver coins. And again, all this is to stay away from the issue of having too many copper coins around, not using them up over yontif, wanting to leave them around. When you leave them around, they corrode, and that would cause a loss to Ma'aser Sheni. So that's Beis Hillel opinion. So far we have Beis Shammai saying you can exchange the entire seller for copper coins. Beis Hillel basically say only half. Hadon lefnei chachamim oimrim. Hadon lefnei chachamim literally means those who debated in front of the sages say, B'shloish dinarei kesef v'dinar mois. You can take that selah, and what you'll do is you will break it down into dinarim. There are 4 dinar to a selah. 3 of dinarim, those dinarim will have to remain silver. And a quarter of the selah, which is 1 dinar, will, now that you can turn into copper coins. So you're taking the selah, breaking it into 4 parts, the 4 dinarim, and we say 3/4 silver, 1/4 copper. Now, this title or this description as these sages, no name, but rather as those that judged and for those who debated in front of the Chachamim, is explaining the following. Students of the sages would sit on the floor in front of their teachers and debate what they had been taught. So, there's another word for students, those who debate in front of the sages. They would debate what they were taught with each other. Now, our Mishnah refers to a specific group of 4 scholars. The names were Shimon Zoma, Hanan HaMitzri, and Hananya ben Chachinai, who died young and therefore remained students their whole lives. Now, although they were great scholars and their opinions are mentioned in the Mishnah, they refer to those who debate before the sages because they actually never became the teachers. They always remained students. Okay, so that's their opinion. Rabbi Akiva says, Shloisha dinarim kesef. Again, we're going to break down the selah into 4 dinar. 3 of the dinarim have to be turned into silver coins. And again, all this is about minimizing turning the coins into copper coins for the concern that we mentioned by Beis Hillel. But each one, basically, that we're going to have now is going to go further than the other. Rabbi Akiva Omer Shloisha dinarim kesef. Rabbi Akiva says 3 dinars have to be kesef, have to be silver. Urevius mois, and 1/4 of the last quarter of the last one can be copper. So in the 4th, meaning 3/4 will be turned into silver coins. The last quarter, 3/4 of that quarter will have to be silver coins, meaning small denomination silver coins, and 1/4 of that can be copper, which means you will have 1/16 of the original selah being turned into copper. Rabbi Tarfon says, Arba asperi chesef. That last dinar is actually, you have that last dinar, it has to be 4 aspers of kesef. Asper is a Greek coin, and it was worth 1/5 of a dinar. So according to Rabbi Tarfon, you're again 3/4. You're starting off with 3/4 kesef. 3 dinarim are silver, okay, which is 3 dinars of silver. And the 4th dinar's worth will actually be 4/5 of that will be silver. 4/5 of that will be 4 aspers, and 1/5 of that asper, 1/5 of a dinar will be copper. That's how far they go. Rabbi Tarfon goes, which means, according to Rabbi Tarfon, you will be turning 1/20 of the original dinar into copper. The final opinion of the Mishnah is Shammai Omer. Shammai said, you don't break down your silver coins into copper coins at all. Leave the silver coin in a store. It'll be, and you'll eat on credit. You'll eat based off of that silver coin that you leave in the store. You're going over time, you're going to take a seller's worth of food, which basically means that this the storekeeper is going to hold on to the coin and keep track of how much food you eat. And the food that you eat is going to be the food that is acquired through that coin. That coin is a Meiser Sheni coin. The food is Meiser Sheni, right? Anytime you use Meiser Sheni money to buy the food has the sanctity of Meiser Sheni. And in this case, what's going to happen is you're going to leave the coin by the storekeeper and eat food using up the credit off of that coin. Excuse me. So you're going to take a seller's worth of food working off that coin until you use up the entire amount of the coin. Beis Shammai say no turning silver coins into copper whatsoever, because the concern is of Shammai that if you turn them into copper coins people are left in their pockets. And the concern of Shammai was that you're going to forget that those copper coins are sanctified Ma'aser Sheni coins. You'll forget that they are sanctified and use them for things you're not allowed to use them for. Therefore, Beis Shammai said no turning silver coins into copper coins. Leave it by the storekeeper, and over time, use it up over food, which again will be Ma'aser Sheni food. Okay. Okay, Chavetz Chaim laws of Lashon Harah. Gimel chapter 3, paragraph Zayin, paragraph 7. No, a very important rule regarding these matters. If you see a person who said something or did something, whether it involves a person's obligation to God or towards another fellow Jew, or behavior towards another fellow Jew, and you could judge that action favorably. Being it's an action that could be judged favorably or unfavorably. He didn't do anything wrong. He did something wrong. You could give him the benefit of the doubt. You could judge him favorably. And if we're talking about a God-fearing person, we're obligated to judge him favorably, even if the action lends itself to be judged more unfavorably. Yerei means a person who is God-fearing. That means, at least most of the time, he is doing what he's supposed to be doing. Let's say he's from people, the middle of the road people. Typically, they're careful from sinning, but sometimes they do. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. If this act is 50-50, whether to judge it favorably or unfavorably, you have to give the person then the benefit of the doubt and judge them favorably. As our sages say, one who judges his friend favorably gives him the benefit of the doubt. Hashem will judge that person favorably. And that is included in the statement of the Torah. You shall judge your friend righteously, which means to give them the benefit of the doubt. Now, just remember what the Chavetz Chaim said. We were talking about a Beinoni, a person who is the middle of the road, and a person who the act is 50-50 how to judge it. There we say you're obligated to give him the benefit of the doubt. But now let's say we're talking about, again, this middle of the road person, the 50-50 person, and the act that he did lends itself more to being judged unfavorably. It is very proper that this in your mind should remain a question. Do not decide to judge him unfavorably. I have to realize that this entire discussion right now, as Chavetz Chaim is going to speak out, is about how you look at the person, how you think about the person. The Torah telling we have here directions. How do we look at our fellow Jew? How do we look at them? So in this case, the Chavetz Chaim says that when a person is 50-50 and the act lends itself more to being negative, are you obligated to give the benefit of the doubt? No, but it is very proper. At least don't do anything. Just leave it as a doubt. I don't know. Leave it as a doubt in your mind. In a situation, though, where the matter is leaning more to, where the matter is leaning towards where it's leaning more favorable. Where it's for sure forbidden to go ahead and to judge the person unfavorably. but you do judge her unfavorably. Now, based on that unfavorable judgment that you decided to do, which you're not supposed to do even when it's 50-50 for the person who is the middle of the road person, so to speak. But you went ahead and you then, based on your decision, you went and then spoke badly about him. Besides the fact that you've disobeyed the directive of judge your friend favorably, then you clearly are also transgressing speaking Lashon Harah. There was no reason to speak Lashon Harah. You're supposed to be giving them the benefit of the doubt. The next paragraph, Ches. But even in a situation where the act lends itself more to being judged unfavorably, then from the point of the letter of the law, you don't have, it's not so bad, so to speak, it's not forbidden to judge him unfavorably. At the end of the day, that only means that you can decide in your own eyes, in your own mind, he was wrong. But you can't go ahead and not speak to other people about it. That's Lashon Harah. Just because you did something wrong doesn't mean you can go speak to people about it. Now, there are going to be situations where people do things that are wrong that actually there's the possibility that there is no prohibition of Lashon Harah relating that. But at the end of the day, that has its own conditions and details that we'll study in the future. But right now, just because you gave a person, you had the right, you even were allowed to give to judge the person favorably, that doesn't give you license not to speak Lashon Harah. It's still Lashon Harah. So therefore, even if it's a situation where you in your own mind can judge a person unfavorably, nonetheless, you can't go speaking Lashon Harah based on that. This discussion about giving a person benefit of the doubt, Chavetz Chaim will later on go into greater detail about. Have a wonderful day. Fe'elach Chanukah.